Thank you.
You're welcome. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. After our previous discussions about Tawheed, now it is the time to turn to arguments for Tawheed, especially rational or intellectual arguments for Tawheed. If you want to quote verses of the Qur'an or Hadith about Tawheed, we can, because when we have, if we have proved that the Qur'an is word of God and it's mu'jiza and it's true, then we can argue based on the Qur'an. But here we want to bring some rational arguments so that if someone is still at the beginning of his search or her search for truth and just has accepted that there is one God, or there is God, for example, even one God, not yet. It says, okay, there is God, but maybe two, maybe three, for example. How you can show me that there is no more than one God? So for such people that maybe they have not yet accepted the Quran or Hadith or Sunnah or the Prophet, we want to have something rational. But we are not here studying kalam or philosophy. Our discussion about Quran. So the question becomes then this: is there any rational argument for Tawheed in the Quran? Like previously, we said, is there any argument in the Quran for existence of God? We said yes. There are arguments which are mentioned in the Quran. Although the Quran doesn't focus on existence of God as much as Quran focuses on Tawheed. Existence of God is not very complicated and was not that much the issue at that time. So let's see if there is any rational argument for Tawheed mentioned in the Quran. Ayat Misbah says, yes, in the Quran we have actually more than one argument and reason. One of them is Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 22, famous ayah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا. Had it been in the sky and earth gods other than Allah, they would both have become corrupt. Means Arz and Sama. Both means Arz and Sama would have become corrupted if there were gods and not just one God, Allah. So ulama say that this is a kind of reasoning, a kind of qiyas indeed, induction, which we call qiyas istisna'i. That we say, if P then Q, but not Q means not P. لو كان فيهم آلهة إلا الله, the result would be facade of a sky and the earth, but there is no facade in a sky and the earth. They are there, they are stable. So means there is no shirk, no alaha, there are no alaha. But how do we explain or articulate this? لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدت. Ayatollah Misbah says there are arguments at different levels. One level is basic, simple, and for the lay people. But there are two levels which are more compound, more profound, more sophisticated, mostly for people who know philosophy. The basic one, simple one, is this: that for running a society, a group, an organization, we need one order. If there is no order, no organization, no community, no society can continue, can run. Even in the case of family, if two people, for example, husband and wife, want to run the family independently and entirely, it doesn't work. It would lead to destruction of the family. If in a village we have two heads, two lords, it's a problem. This is an argument, and I think it's good, although Ayat Misbah says that there are some technical problems here, but I think it's good. We can develop it further if someone asks questions. But then he goes to deeper arguments, and he says they have mentioned in philosophical books burhan tamanu' burhan tamanu', and he says some people who have had philosophical tendencies, they said ayah law kana fihima alihatun illa Allah lafasadata is referring to burhan tamanu'. Tamanu' is bab tafa'ul from man', that is when two or more than two things conflict with each other and stop each other. He says, if you want a detailed discussion about this, please refer to volume 5 of Usul Falsafe wa Ravish Realism. You know, Allama Tabatabai has a book, Principles of Philosophy and Method of Realism, and Ayatollah Mutahari has very good, commentary in the form of footnotes on this. So volume 5 of Usul Falsafe wa Ravish Realism is about existence of God and is about Tawheed. So he says, if you refer to the footnotes of Ayatollah Mutahari, you would see a good explanation of this kind of philosophical argument for unity of God. The summary of their argument is this: that no two causes, no two originating causes can independently contribute to existence of something. If there are two causes that work together, that's not a problem. But if two causes at the top level, which is illata mufideh, to give existence, they want to create the same thing, it doesn't work. Because every ma'lul only depends on its own causes, not parallel causes. For example, if there is an image in my mind, for example, image of a horse, this image of horse is made by my mind, is ma'lul of my mind. It only depends on me. We cannot have a horse that is made by my mind and your mind. Either mine or yours, not both. If I make a floor of building, you cannot build upon that floor, because the floor of building, which is my mind, depends on me. I am ella for it. The one that is your mind, it depends on you. You are ella for it. These cannot interact with each other. But we see that this world exists, so it cannot be result of two causes. Ayatollah Misbah says, although this is a good argument in itself, but maybe ayah is not talking about this, because if it was this argument, then the ayah should have said, لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله, they would not have come into existence. Because the problem would be the very coming to the existence. It would not be possible. We cannot have a two-floor building, one made by me, one made by you. But here in the ayah, the focus is on fasad, not on existence. Means even if they exist, they cannot exist in a good order. This is the point. So he says there is another argument that he says actually this argument is from Allamiyya Tabatabai. He says he was the one who mentioned this ayah, and he tries to explain it with his own words and examples. So the focus of the second argument is on fasad, not existence, and it goes like this: that instead of saying that only, because in the first type of philosophical argument the focus is on existence and no two worlds can exist together. Here the focus is on system. He says there is one unified system in this world, one nizam, one order in this world, and you see everything easily interacts with the other. It's not like two worlds which are run by two different lords. It's a well connected and interconnected world which must be run by one Lord, otherwise it would not be so well connected. And he says this seems to be more compatible with the ayah. And one of the also advantages of this argument is that not only it shows that there is only one creator, but also is showing wahdat rububiyyah, that there is only one Lord, because it's talking about the way this world is run. It's one system, even if it has parts. We don't need to say this is one part. No, it can be different parts, different organs, but one system. After this discussion, then Ayatollah Misbah goes to another way of classifying Tawheed. In the past, we said there are different levels of Tawheed. Tawheed في وجوب الوجود, Tawheed في الخالقية, Tawheed في الربوبية, Tawheed في الألوهية. Then we continue Tawheed in hope, and finally Tawheed in the sense that you only witness one God. Another way, which is very classic, is to divide Tawheed into Tawheed al-Dhati, Sifati, and Af'ali. Tawheed with respect to the essence of God, with respect to the attributes of God, and with respect to the actions of God. He says, philosophers and theologians, mutakallimin, when they use these three, they mean similar things. But also Urafa sometimes use these terms and they may mean differently. First, we talk about the way philosophers and mutakallimin, theologians, understand. Tawheed al-Dhati means there is only one essence which is wajibul wujud. There is no part nor partner for wajibul wujud. It's simple, no parts, and unique, no partner for wajibul. This is Tawhid Zati. Tawhid Sifati, according to philosophers and mutakallimin, theologians, means that divine attributes are not different in existence from each other and from essence. So it's not that we have one essence and several other beings called sifat, as some people believed in Qudama al-Thamaniya, divine essence and 7 qualities. We say no. There is only one being. From one aspect you can call him Alim, from another aspect you can call him Qadir, you can call him Hay, Murid, etc., Sami, Basir. But one being. And his also qualities are not additional to the essence. They are not Za'id bar Zat. The qualities are with the Zat. This is one essence which has all these perfections in a simple way. So this is Tawhid Sifati. And then we have Tawhid Af'ali, which means that any action that takes place in this world, anything that happens, is an act of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one independent from God can do anything. Yes, we can also work, we can do something, but under Him, not independent from Him. So, Tawhid Zati, Tawhid Sifati, and Tawhid Af'ali are 3 types of Tawhid. Of course, sometime then after this they mention Tawhid Ibadi, something that you have to bring. These 3, Tawhid Zati, Sifati, Af'ali, is a matter of belief. Tawhid Ibadi is both belief and practice, as we said before. Tawheed in Uluhiyya of God and Tawheed in Ibadah of God. Here he has good discussion about explaining how Allah's attributes are not additional to His essence. It's not like us. We don't have knowledge, we acquire knowledge. So knowledge is additional to our Zat. If it was part of our Zat, we should have it always. But in the case of Allah, we don't have such separations because one simple being. Anything that He can have, He would have it. Wajibul wujud bizat, wajibun min jami' al-jihad. If something is possible, means it's not impossible. Imkan khas, then it is necessary. He must have it. He referred to hadith of Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, Kamalul Ikhlas, Nafyus Sifat an, which means denying additional qualities from God, not denying Sifat in the way that philosophers say. Qur'an says Allah has these attributes. But if someone says attributes of Allah are additional to His essence, then yes, we don't believe in these. Then there is a beautiful discussion about, or you can say under Tawhid Af'ali. We mentioned the meaning of Tawhid Af'ali, and that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only doer, the only agent, the only mu'athir. La mu'athira fil wujud illa Allah. Even our actions are under Him, are His action. Ma ramayta idh ramayta, walakin Allah Rama. But then he says there is also another idea which is mentioned by some Muslim philosophers, and that is, instead of Tawhid af'ali, Tawhid fi'l. Tawhid af'ali is something that all accept, and the meaning is that every action is in the end an action of God. We may have some role, but it's an action of God. But Tawhid fi'l is different from Tawhid af'ali. Tawhid fi'l means that all the things that Allah has created, they form one unit. The whole creation, not only physical creation, everything that Allah has created is one. And not only at this time, even if you go in the past, you go in the future. In the physical world, we have time and a space. In this immaterial world, we don't have time and a space. So if you consider creation of Allah all together, which means immaterial part and all the times and spaces of the material part, they make one action. And perhaps this is the meaning of this beautiful ayah, Surah Qamar, verse 50. وَمَا أَمْرُنَا إِلَّا وَاحِدًا. In the course on philosophy, especially Introduction to Philosophy, Falsafi Muqaddamati, by Mr. Ubudiyat, based on Ayatollah Mutahari's book, I think many times I mentioned this. وَمَا أَمْرُنَا إِلَّا وَاحِدًا. Our command or our affair, Amr can be command, then the plural would be awamir. Can be affair, then the plural would be umur. Our command or affair is not except one. How many times Allah created? How many things He created? Only one, and once. He created one thing and once. It's expanding, it's evolving, but it doesn't mean that Allah is changing and Allah is every day, making new decisions. Although كل يوم هو في شأن, but this is صفة فعل. Otherwise he doesn't have day and night and week and year and century. Yes, we can say كل يوم هو في شأن is perfectly true, but it's صفة فعل. So Allah is one, and only one comes from Him. Not one in the sense of Sadr Awwal, only the first thing which is issued from Him. No, means the whole creation is one. But this one can be analyzed. You can say, this part of it, that part of it, this time of it, that time of it. You can analyze it, but in a united way it has been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, I think we can stop here inshallah, and we continue bi'idhnillah next week. So if you have any question, please put forward. Otherwise, inshallah, we finish this session and get ready for, inshallah, philosophy. Is there any question?
Thank you, Mr.
May Allah bless you, inshallah. Iltimas dua.